everything right now.
Let go of me!
What are you doing?
Hey, leave her alone.
You know, when I got the promotion to chief detective 2 weeks before this happened, I thought I was ready for anything. 2 decades on the job, I'd handled murder scenes, federal wiretaps, political corruption. I had the calm, the experience, the famous badge number 0001 of the entire capital city PD detective division. But I was about to learn that sometimes the greatest threats aren't out on the street. They're right there, wearing the same uniform you are. My first assignment as chief detective was a security assessment of the Justice Tower Courthouse. With all the incidents nationally, we needed an honest, unbiased look at security protocols. My strategy was simple. Go in civilian clothes, look unremarkable, and see how the system and the officers behave naturally. So that Tuesday morning, I parked my unmarked car blocks away, put on my simple white business suit, and walked up those grand marble steps like any other citizen. To the casual eye, I was just a lawyer, maybe a witness. But inside, I was Chief Detective Olivia Hayes, observing everything. Camera placement, crowd flow, and most critically, how the patrol officers interacted with the public. And then I met Officer Terry Blake. He was the perfect storm of everything wrong with the patrol division. 8 years of experience, 3 recent complaints for aggression, and a massive chip on his shoulder. He'd had a bad morning. He was irritated, and he saw me, a black woman standing alone, observing the courthouse entrance, and instantly, in his warped lens, that equaled trouble waiting to happen. He barreled toward me, his voice booming across the quiet plaza. "Ma'am, state your business here or move along." I looked up from my assessment notes. "Good morning, officer. I'm here on legitimate business." I deliberately kept the explanation vague, adhering to my protocol. Test how officers handle ambiguous but legal situations. Blake's patience evaporated like water on hot pavement. "That's not an answer. I need specifics." His body language was already aggressive, designed to intimidate. "What are you doing here?" I maintained my professional composure, even as I internally logged his unnecessary escalation. "Officer, I understand you're doing your job, but I haven't done anything wrong." His partner, Officer Chun, who seemed like a decent guy, walked up, sensing the brewing confrontation. "Terry, maybe we should." "Stay back, Chun. I got this handled." Blake barked. He demanded my ID. I gave him my driver's license, still choosing not to show the badge. He examined it with exaggerated suspicion. "Alexis Washington, live across town. What brings you all the way down here?" And then came the poison. "Are you some kind of lawyer, legal aid? Or are you just another one of these activists looking to cause trouble?" That familiar sting of prejudice hit me, but I swallowed it. "Data, Olivia, this is valuable data." "Officer, I'm simply a citizen going about my lawful business." "Citizen," he mocked. "I don't know what game you're playing, but I'm not buying it. You've been acting suspicious and now you're being evasive." He was escalating without cause, ignoring his partner, and using inappropriate language, violating protocol after protocol. Then he snarled, "I think what you have is a warrant or a court date you're trying to avoid. Or maybe you're here to intimidate witnesses." His accusations were getting more outrageous, driven entirely by ego and unchecked bias. A small crowd began to gather, phones coming out instantly, recording everything. I knew I had reached a critical juncture. "Officer, I'm going to ask you to step back and reconsider your approach," I said with quiet authority, the natural tone of command I use daily. It was the worst thing I could have said. "Are you giving me orders?" he exploded. "I've had enough of your attitude and your games. You're under arrest for disorderly conduct and obstruction of justice." I didn't even have time to finish my sentence. Years of unchecked aggression culminated in one devastating moment. He grabbed me by both arms and began dragging me away from the courthouse steps. "Get your hands off me," I commanded, but he was beyond listening. He hauled me down those concrete steps like a sack of garbage. My white suit jacket tore at the shoulder, my professional heels scraped against the rough surface, and my stockings shredded. Papers scattered everywhere. "You people need to learn respect," he panted as he dragged me across the pavement toward his patrol car. The crowd erupted. "That's police brutality." She wasn't doing anything wrong. But even as my dignity was destroyed in real time, I didn't fight back. I endured, observing everything with the trained, meticulous eye of a professional investigator. Because I understood something Terry Blake didn't. This moment was about to change everything. The ride to the station was silent, except for Blake humming to himself, clearly pleased with his good arrest. He glanced back at me, torn suit, bloodied knees, yet completely calm. You know what your problem is? You thought you could come to our courthouse and play games with police officers. You learned something different today, didn't you? I said nothing. I just filed away his total lack of remorse. At the booking area, Sergeant Ruiz, a 22-year veteran, looked up and his experienced eyes noticed the professional attire, the scrape injuries, and my unsettling calm. He asked me if I was hurt. I have some scrapes and bruises from being dragged across the courthouse plaza, I replied, requesting medical attention and noting the torn clothing. I cooperated fully with the booking process, but when they took my booking photo, I was observing them. I made my single phone call, dialing a high-level department extension. This is AW. I need to speak with the DM about the courthouse assessment project. There's been a significant development. The test revealed major system failures. I was finally placed in a holding cell, battered but professionally detached. The fingerprints were submitted. The system was running. I knew it was only a matter of time. The fingerprint system alert didn't just beep. It sounded like a fire alarm in the quiet booking area. Sergeant Ruiz had never heard that particular alert before. It flashed bright red. Police personnel match. Immediate supervisor notification required. Ruiz clicked the alert, and his face drained of color as the information populated the screen. Washington Alexis Marie, badge number 0001. Rank, Chief Detective. Department, Metropolitan Police, Detective Division. Status, active. Promotion date, 14 days ago. Oh my God, he whispered. Lieutenant Thompson, who was nearby, rushed over. He saw the screen, and the blood drained from his face, too. They remembered the low-key ceremony 2 weeks ago. The first woman ever to hold the position. And now, she was sitting in their holding cell, with torn clothes and scraped knees, because Officer Blake had dragged her across concrete. The news spread through the station like a shockwave. Officer Chun, Blake's partner, approached Ruiz's desk. What's all the excitement about? Ruiz looked at him, shaking his head slowly. Your partner just arrested Chief Detective Washington. Chun slumped onto a chair. He remembered trying to warn Terry, his instincts screaming that something was fundamentally wrong. Meanwhile, where was Terry Blake? He was in the break room, still bragging about his good arrest. You should have seen this woman's attitude, he was telling the guys. Acted like she owned the place. Dragged her right off those steps. I showed her something different. Then Captain Williams, who had received Ruiz's frantic call during a budget meeting, burst through the doors. Where is she? He demanded. He already knew the videos. All 8 angles of the dragging had gone viral. He approached my cell. Chief Detective Washington, I cannot begin to express how sorry I am. I stood up, adjusting my borrowed uniform jacket. Captain Williams, I assume you've been informed about the circumstances of my arrest. I expect nothing less than a thorough and impartial investigation, and I expect to be treated like any other victim. But the real drama unfolded when Lieutenant Thompson found Blake in the break room. Mitchell, I need to speak with you immediately. Blake was defiant. What's up, Lieutenant? Some troublemaker named Washington. Thompson cut him off, his voice ice cold. Terry, you arrested Chief Detective Alexis Washington, the head of our detective division. Blake's face went through confusion, disbelief, and then total, dawning horror. But she didn't tell me she was the police. She didn't show a badge. She didn't have to, Thompson replied. She was conducting a legitimate security assessment. And you dragged your superior officer across the courthouse steps because you thought she was a criminal. The break room fell silent. Bradley had just assaulted one of the highest-ranking members of their department. The officer who had dragged me, humiliated me, and destroyed my dignity in front of dozens of cameras. He had just destroyed his own career. Within the hour, Chief Harrison personally terminated Terry Blake. The videos were played in the disciplinary hearing, each angle showing the brutal reality. Blake, in his final defense, could only stammer. If Chief Detective Washington had simply identified herself from the beginning. Chief Harrison leaned forward, cutting him off. Officer Mitchell, you just blamed the victim of your assault for not preventing your misconduct. That response alone demonstrates why you are unfit to wear a police uniform. The department found him guilty on all counts and referred the case for criminal prosecution. The irony was devastatingly complete. The woman who was dragged down those steps like a criminal was now charged with lifting the entire department to a higher standard. 6 months later, Terry Blake was convicted and served time in prison for assault and battery. The conviction sent a clear message: the badge does not provide immunity from consequences. But the real victory came when I stood at the podium in that very same courthouse where my ordeal began, announcing the comprehensive police reform package. The Dignity First Policing Initiative, mandatory implicit bias training, and a complete overhaul of how officers interact with people they don't immediately recognize. The day I was dragged down these steps, I experienced firsthand what too many citizens face every day, I told the packed auditorium. That experience didn't break me. It gave me a mission. The courthouse steps, once the scene of my humiliation, now bear a small plaque, not about me, but in memory of all who have suffered injustice there, and in hope of justice yet to come. I walk up those steps every day now, not as a victim, but as a transformational leader. My question to you, watching this, is simple. How many times do we accept inconvenience or attitude as an excuse for abuse of power? How can we ensure that dignity and respect aren't privileges reserved for those with a badge number, but expectations for every single interaction? Share your thoughts below on the Dignity First approach. If my story inspired you to believe in the possibility of real change from the inside out, please like and subscribe. Because justice is served not just when one bad cop is held accountable, but when the entire system is transformed.